I am doing my best to be live, and here I am. I had trouble going live. This is Carlos Campos. Love talk with the Amish Matchmaker. Sorry for the delay. I was trying to get TikTok up and running. I did it yesterday, and I was ready to get it going again today. So we shall see. I'm not sure if it's going or not, but here we are, and we help Amish singles to find godly spouse, build epic marriages, and develop legacies that are rooted in faith and freedom. I am Carlos, the Amish Matchmaker. My wife and I, we match up Amish people. We also help English, but 80% of our clientele are Amish. So we're Anabaptist background. It's good to be here today, and got my chats live now. Hopefully they'll work. Yesterday I realized some of it wasn't working. We just keep going. We do. Let me pull up my notes. And today I want to talk about a very important topic that I have seen many times in marriage and many times in relationships where people change. And most men, if you're looking for love, if you want to find love and keep love and make it epic, you're in the right place. As men, that's what I want to do, is help you to see how to do it and how to keep it. All right, looks like morning, Lester. Morning, Nathan. Thanks, guys, for letting me know it's working. Good, the chat's working, it looks like. Awesome. Appreciate that. Appreciate the support. It's really awesome. All right, let's talk about humility versus fear. Fear versus humility. This is a crazy powerful one. And I was thinking about this as I get the opportunity to work with many men and helping them to discover love, keep love, and make it epic. And as we're working together, one of the things I've noticed is that men believe that they're supposed to be a certain way in order to be a good, godly husband, a good, God fearing husband, as I would say, a good papa fearing husband, or humble, loving, but deeply connected to Papa or Father God. I love calling him Abba, Father. And yet, the word says very clearly, he says, the Father says, I have not given you the spirit of fear, but of a sound mind, but of dunamis, love, and a sound mind. That's the recipe: power, confidence, courage, love, unconditional love, and self-discipline. Those three are necessary to overcome fear, which that fear is to shrink back. So let's talk about it. A lot of times men will believe or think, have the misconception, sorry, looks like my notes are in the wrong spot. Most men think humility means being quiet and small and gentle and stepping back, but that's actually not humility. That is the definition of fear: to shrink back, to become small, and wear this, church shirt that has a verse on it, and just be. Look, Moses was a powerful example of what humility is. And so humility means becoming. Most men believe that humility means becoming less, becoming smaller, and becoming quiet and passive and silent and even unseen. Now, That is actually not humility. That's not what Jesus did. It's not what Moses did. Um, and it's interesting because Moses was considered the most humble man ever in the world. Obviously, so is Jesus. But let's talk about Jesus and Moses both, and then talk about. I want to help you to understand that that's fear. That's not humility. To shrink back and become small and this little mousy man. And part of it is what happens is men have this perception of what it looks like to be a father and to be a husband. And so it is very powerful to understand that we need to actually press in, step up, and become more confident as men. And that with a wife, we will be empowered. And a wife is attracted to, a woman is attracted to a man that is confident, that is willing to be bold and to step up and be strong. So, fear is not humility. Humility does not mean becoming less of a man. Humility means becoming more like Papa God. And Papa is not small. Father, he's not small, he's not intimidated, but yet he is humble. Now, what's the difference, you may say? Well, let's look at this because, in short, what humility says, when you look at the biblical scripture and the definition of it, it means to get low. Yes, the true biblical meaning is to literally means to lower oneself, but not like this. You follow me? Not like this. Look at me. Not. And why is this important? I'm going to talk about the differences. Humility actually means to lower yourself, but not in value, not in confidence, and not in strength, men. To lower yourself is not to shrink back. It means because lowering is in your position without lowering your power, without lowering your authority and lowering your identity. Are you following me? To connect, to love, to serve, and to teach effectively, we must live at times at someone's level to love them well. And that sounds terrible. No, what I literally mean is like what a father does. A good father does to a child. And now this in the literal sense is their child is talking to them, and their child's like 2 foot tall, right? A little toddler, maybe 3 foot tall. And they kneel down on their knee because they're big and tall, and the child's like, I tried to talk to them, and it's like, no, eye level, eye contact, lowering oneself to kneel down. Let the children come unto me. Yeshua said this, and he would kneel down, describes it that way, and that's really what it's about. To be willing to come to their level, love them well, smile, make eye contact. And it says, even for my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Look, yoking is a great equalizer. You can't have a yoke and one be way up here, lording over another in the ivory tower, like some kings or leaders believe they should just bark orders and you go do that. You go fight that battle. No, lead from the front. That's what it's all about. A father kneeling to speak to a child, a man lowering his tone so that he can connect, a leader stepping down from the ivory tower to serve and lead and fight the battle from the front of the battlefield, not the back, a king who is not shouting and barking orders from the castle. Papa himself, our Father in heaven, Papa, entering our world as a man, as Yeshua. Humility is power that chooses to come close. Now, how does that fit in? Even when we think about Moses, it's super powerful because, we'll get to that. Humility is not weakness, it's controlled power. Woo! And how did Moses become so powerful? Let's talk about that. Because he was thought as he was treated as one of the king's sons. He was brought up in royalty. He was brought up as one of the king's sons. Why? Why did this happen, y'all? Was it just special? Yes, very special. They actually believed, the Egyptians believed that Moses was a god. Why? Because during that time, they were throwing all the firstborn children, boys, into the water to test it, be tested by the God of the waters. Let the God of the waters decide. If they survive, then they are fit to live. Well, guess what? Somebody got pretty clever. Read the story and you missed it because you're like, well, yeah, they said he was floating in a basket. But that's not what they said when they presented it to the princess, the daughter's king. They said, we pulled this child from the water and it survived the waters. The presentation was that, oh, look, they obeyed. They threw the child in the water and it survived. That child survived. It must be a God to survive the God of the waters. He's the only child that had ever survived. Interesting, right? So then, of course, he's going to be raised as royalty. He's going to be raised with all the finest education, all the confidence, all the fighting skills. You follow me? Are you getting this? This is real stuff, practical. And so then he becomes this very confident man. And what's even more special is they don't raise him as an Egyptian boy and make him think he's Egyptian. No, they actually didn't know it was his biological mother, or maybe they did, but they brought her in to be a handmaid and let her raise him, nurse him. And so he would know his heritage because they believed he was like a god because he survived the waters. So they raised him as royalty, gave him all the education, wanted him to lead his people in that sense and be a powerful man because he survived the waters. And why do I say that? Because this is very important for you to know. This is why Moses rose up as such a great leader. It's very practical. It wasn't just out of the blue, this supernatural thing where he could go into the king's court as a Jewish man and challenge the king. No, challenge Pharaoh in that time. Sorry, it's called Pharaoh. No, it was because he actually was raised as Pharaoh's brother. If you know the backstory and everything that happened there. It's crazy awesome, right? So then it's more practical because that's why he had favor. I've seen some shows portrayed that they're like brothers, best friends, raised as brothers. So it makes sense. And normally, any other Jewish person coming there challenging Pharaoh, bam, you're gone right away. Now, what's interesting though is Moses wasn't necessarily confident in the way that he could speak and how he could talk. That's why God said, well, then I'll give you Aaron. Do you remember that? So again, his confidence wasn't in all areas and he supplemented it. It happens. But it didn't make him less of a man. It didn't make him less of a leader. It didn't make him shrink back and quit. He lacked confidence there, of course, but he still had to do the work and move forward, regardless of how he felt. So think of it like this. A wild horse has incredible strength. A trained horse has strength under control and with self-discipline. See, humility comes with coupled with self-discipline. A wild horse has to be tamed if it's going to be useful in work. Funny enough, two wild horses working together get trained and then they get yoked together. The great equalizer. So humility is strength that knows when to kneel, that has self-control, self-discipline, and does not get controlled by emotions. Follow me? It's very powerful. Because we talked about yesterday what it looks like if you can be calm in stressful, traumatic situations. That's humility. That's a strong man. But it comes from skills, hard work, developing those tools, even OODA loop, like we talked about, self-defense, awareness, like even in the military, how they train those things as well. So humility equals greatness, not smallness. Yeshua himself, he washed feet, but he also commanded the storms. He cast out demons. He confronted leaders and he died with courage. He died with purpose. Humility didn't make him less. Humility revealed his greatness. Now, here is the verse, and here is the conversation that absolutely most Amish leaders refer to, and even a lot of religious leaders across all different Christian religions will say, well, you got to be humble like Jesus and just turn the other cheek. When you get slapped, you turn the other cheek, and you get slapped, and you turn the other cheek, and you get slapped. You just let them slap you and slap you and slap you. And then, by the way, if they ask you to walk a mile carrying all their stuff, you need to be a humble slave and carry it 2 miles. And oh my goodness, you just always are supposed to let everybody take advantage of you. That's not even what happened. You got to know the history, and you got to know that Yeshua was actually being confident and bold and a bit rebellion. How? Because what was happening was the mistreatment of the Jewish people by the Romans. And so what he was doing was bringing attention to it, because when you get slapped down, it's the backhand by a Roman soldier during that time. First of all, it's kind of interesting, but there was two hands. One hand you could slap with, the other hand you were not allowed to slap with. That is called disgrace, dishonoring that person in a very, very harsh way, because the hand you wipe with. I'm just saying, like, okay. And so it's considered dirty hand, unclean. So when you slap down a Jewish person, you could only slap them once. Now, what Jesus was saying was actually, and by the way, when you get slapped down, you're supposed to shrink back. In fear, exactly what fear is. But humility stands strong. You get slapped, you give them the other cheek because it's like, I can handle it. Number one. Number two, it's rebellion. You're supposed to shrink back and cower like a wimp. Number two is they're not allowed to hit you with the other hand, but if they just backhand you with that one, boom, that cheek, and you turn it to the other cheek, they've got to use their dirty hand, and they're not allowed to. But that's what you're giving them, the ability to hit you with their dirty hand, and it's dishonoring to them, and they're not allowed to do that. They're breaking the Roman law of the time. Go check it out. So Jesus was actually teaching them to be confident, strong, and even rebellious. Now, number two, the hey, if they ask you to walk a mile with them and carry their stuff, walk 2 miles, it was against the law. Go look at the history of it. Roman law said you could have a Jewish or a slave or a person carry your equipment for a mile. That's it. You're not allowed to do anything more. If you do anything more, you're breaking the law. So Yeshua was teaching them to make a spectacle of that Roman soldier, because they were abusing him, and go ahead and walk 2 miles so that everybody could see it and know that the Roman soldier was breaking the law, and he would actually be in trouble for that. Just keep going, take his stuff. That's confidence, that's strength, that's powerful. Third thing says, well, if they ask for your coat or whatever, you give them your bonnet too, or whatever the verse. I don't have it in front of me. I'm sorry. So you got two different layers of clothing, is what it is. Okay, here's the thing. It was illegal and not right or proper for you to be naked in public. So if they ask for your coat, you give your cloak too, which is like your undergarments. So this, like, oh, you want my coat? There's my coat. But also take the rest of my clothes too. And standing there naked would embarrass the Roman soldier and would be making it look like he's breaking the law. Now that does not sound like shrinking back and becoming fearful to me. Does it sound like that to you? But you've been sold that by religious leaders your whole life. And so you think that's what humility is then. Just, oh, and give me the other cheek so they can just keep beating me. And oh, if I need to carry a mile, I'm going to suffer through it and carry it 2 miles. And oh, if they want my coat, I might as well give them my cloak because I'm so generous. No, that's not true. That's not what it was about. That is shrinking back. That is fear. And Papa said, I have not given you the spirit of fear. I've given you dunamis. I've given you supernatural confidence and strength and courage. And I've given you love, unconditional love, to love in spite of the situations. And that I've given you self-control. It takes self-control to be able to love in all situations and be able to stand confidently and do it anyways. Even though when you're scared or afraid and don't feel like doing it, you do it anyways. Oh, excuse me. Humility didn't make Jesus less. It made him greater. Moses led children of Israel out of Egypt. Scripture calls Moses the most humble man on earth. But yet he confronted Pharaoh. He led millions through the desert, stood on mountains. When everyone else was afraid, the Jewish people to go up on Mount Sinai, he went up anyways, thunder, lightning, and spoke with God face to face. And guess what? The Jewish people coming out of Egypt, that's all they knew was a tyrant. They were controlled by fear. They were controlled by harshness. And Moses, one man who was actually had understood and was dunamis, understood love, could come down to their level and love his people well, protect them, teach them, honor them, bless them. He didn't look down on them because he was raised in royalty. No, that's what humility was. That's why he was known as the most humble man, because he actually was powerful. He actually was this great warrior and leader in the Egyptian army, taught all the finest things, taught all the different languages, taught everything. And yet he was willing to, again, lower himself, humble himself to be and love and lead his people who at the time, not obviously, I don't believe this at all. I love the Jewish people. They're powerful, most intelligent, most wealthy community on the planet now. But at that time, they were lower than the Egyptians because the Egyptians had suppressed and oppressed them. And so Moses came to their level to lead them well and lead from the front, lead the charge into it or out of Egypt and into the desert at that point to Mount Sinai to meet up with Papa God. Okay. Humility didn't make him silent. Humility made him obedient and bold. And he even spoke face to face with God. And there's a powerful scripture in there that, there's God during that time that God says, if I revealed all myself, it would overwhelm you. So he's actually able to see a part of God, right? Philippians 2:7 says that Papa God emptied himself, not his deity, not his power, but his position, so that we could know him as Yeshua. And I do believe that. I do believe that they are just different perceptions of who the wholeness of Papa is, or God is. God Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. And humility is not becoming smaller. It's bringing your greatness lower so that, here's the purpose, bringing your greatness lower so that others can rise up, so that you can relatable, so that you can connect and love and help them to see that they can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. I hope that's the message you always feel, that you can take a little bit of my confidence and be more confident. Take a little bit of my courage and the things that I do that help me to have confidence and courage and do those things. And you too can have confidence and more courage. You too then can find a beautiful, godly wife. Find love. But you got to create your best identity. And Moses was blessed that he had the training, the education to build the confidence and courage. He had the wielding the sword. He had the education on books and languages. And do you see what I mean? Gaining wisdom and knowledge can actually gain confidence, help you to be more confident. Shrinking back is actually fear. Shrinking back is not humility. It's insecurity, it's lack of confidence, it's avoidance, it's playing small, it's the silent treatment. When we see hard things, we go the other way. It's an excuse to stay small and not step into the big league. Come on. Passivity when you should lead. Passivity when you should protect the weak, the innocent, but not to look down on them, but to get at their level like a little child. It's a beautiful picture. Obviously, a little child, little toddler, or even an infant cannot protect themselves from a full grown adult, male or female, obviously. So then, as a man, strong and confident, can you lower yourself to talk to a little child? Can you kneel down to them and smile and make eye contact and make them feel loved and blessed? That's what a humble man will do. That's what a humble, powerful leader will do. Shrinking back becomes a spiritual disguise that men wear and call it spirituality. They feel like they're being humble by choosing not to wake up at 5 a.m. because I just stay up all night praying. I've heard that before. No, that's fear. That's shrinking back. Humility doesn't keep you out of the fight. Humility puts you in the front of the fight, at the very front, the front lines, with gentleness and calmness and love and willingness to wash feet, but willing also to turn the tables over when necessary. Woo! I'll calm down. I'll let that marinate for a minute. Cheers. You got your coffee? Let me see some of these comments. Oh, okay. Good morning. Thank you. See some messages here. I don't know what that means, but I'll show it. It's like Jesus played GTA 6. Here's another one. What do I need to do to get Amish woman? Can I meet one online? Well, we have Amish Matchmaker. That's what we are. So we might know a few Amish women. So God became a man so that man could become God. Well, that's not what I said, but I guess that's what you're hearing. Humility gets yoked. These comments are awesome. All right, man. So you want to find love? Well, I will tell you, if you're single, next Thursday, Jesse and Adina Kaufman, they lead a group over on school.com called Single to Married. School, SKOOL.com. And if you ask me, we can put it in the comments. Jesse's on here with me. Jesse, thanks for being here. He's a powerful leader of that community, helping men and helping women who are single to find love, keep love, and make it epic, get engaged. And it's powerful. To get engaged is the next step, but to find the one and to have the skills of proper communication. Next Thursday, there's going to be a free webinar. What do you got to lose? Go there, learn, gain wisdom, gain skills that will help you to have an epic marriage. That's the goal. That's the target. You got to check it out. So spread the word. I'll be glad to get you the link for that. Hey, good morning. So, humility, in a way, you can get immediately. I want to try to explain it and help you to see it and what that looks like in a practical sense. It's lowering your posture, but not your power. A father kneels to a child, a man leans in to listen to his wife. A leader stands beside his team, arm in arm. A king walks amongst the people and willing to lead the battle from the front. Papa enters the world as a man, lower yourself in position so you can raise someone else in value. I gotta tell you, I appreciate so much the leadership of this country. Now, whether you agree with me or like it or not, I'm just gonna tell you that I appreciate from everything that I've studied and researched, even about Donald Trump and even one of the wealthiest mans on the planet, Elon Musk. What I see is how they are willing to lead from the front. They're willing to get dirty, get in the trenches, and be out there doing the work, meeting with the people, and leading from the front lines, not sending others. Yeah, of course, he has delegates and stuff, but I'm just saying he's out there doing the work. Elon Musk, if you study the man, there's a reason why he is the wealthiest, one of the wealthiest men on the planet, and it's because he does the work. He leads from the front. He doesn't lead from the ivory tower barking orders. He's in the trenches when there's a bottleneck, when there's a problem, even in his manufacturing plants, whether it's his rocket jets for SpaceX or whether it's the manufacturing and creation and ideas on his tunnel building machines, or if it's even the creation and manufacturing of his Tesla vehicles, or things for his rockets for Starlink to get the satellites in the air. Guess what? He's there. He's sleeping if he necessary on the production floor to be the first there, last to leave, and willing to work through it to get it done. That's leading from the front. That's why the man has so many successful businesses that are multi-billion-dollar businesses, and he's got a deal right now for Tesla that is unbelievable, where he could they're going to buy him out as long as he keeps developing the company and helping it grow in profitability. Those shareholders made a decision to purchase his shares at an awesome amount if he produces, and he does produce from the front lines, not from the back of the room barking orders and where send the soldier. No, send me. I'm going to go with them. Let's go. To me, that is true leadership, true humility. And again, some people have criticism of him. Look, he volunteered to go work for the government to help the government get more efficient. I again, it's amazing to me. Again, you probably have your opinion. This is my personal opinion. I'm okay if you have a different opinion. I promise. I'm okay with you shouting criticisms or he's an idiot, whatever you believe. That's fine. You have your belief. I have mine. We can. It's good to disagree. Actually, it's good to have different opinions. It keeps everybody honest. Keeps everybody working and believing and looking for different things. It's good. It's beneficial. So look, a king who walks amongst the people, that's what I've seen with Donald Trump, walking amongst the people. Maybe you saw it differently. That's what I see with Elon Musk, going to work again amongst the people to help create more efficiency, to help save on the deficit that was overwhelming our country. Again, that's what I see there. And that's really, again, whether they acknowledge God or not, they're walking out the principles that God laid out that brings forth results and brings forth success. So it's super powerful. What true humility looks like in a man is where he's able to be calm. He's got all this power and strength, but he can be calm, can make eye contact with confidence, can command the room with love and not anger, rage, or putting people down. He actually commands the room by putting people up, lifting people up, loving people well, going to those. I watched a video one time, whether it's staged, I don't know, it's fine. I'm just going to tell you, I watched, recently on the news where Donald Trump was at like it was some kind of Special Olympics event, and he's there hugging people that are, have mental handicap or and special needs, and just loving on them like any other human. I watched him, pushing the chair for different leaders that are sitting down before him, and or pulling the chair out to try to be kind, and I don't know. You can look for other things. That's fine. I get it. And some of his words, yeah, they're harsh and mean and rude. I get it. I get it. I'm just saying that I see that a leader can be soft, can make eye contact. I watched different reporters that hated him, and he's like, "Well, okay, I'll meet with you though. You get to interview me, you get to talk to me, then you decide if you still want to hate me." And at the end of it, some of those reporters were like, "I can't believe it. This is a real man, and he cared about me. He truly, genuinely cared about me." Again, there's all kinds of stuff out there you can see that will bash him and put him down. I know, I get it. So, but the tone, the soft eyes, the calm tone, listening without defending. This is one that's true confidence. That's true humility that you know the answers. It's kind of like Elon Musk listening to someone as they give him financial advice on how to make money. And he just listens and smiles. Yeah, that's a great idea. I appreciate you telling me that. When frickin' is well, this man on the planet, can you be serious? Right? Who could really give him, you know, work ethic advice or money ethic advice or money wisdom and how to make money, how to build a business when he has some of the largest businesses on the planet. It's but he I could totally picture him doing that. Taking responsibility even though maybe you didn't do it. That's powerful leadership. That's humility. Serving without losing your strength, leading from the front, speaking truth in gentleness, protecting without pride, choosing courage when afraid. Humility is confidence under obedience. It's interesting. Um, Another picture of humility when we teach family defense. And as a father, as a man, or as a husband, and you're going to protect your family. It's interesting because this is a little key to protection. If you want to learn something here, man, you have your wife and children actually walk in front of you. Now, that's not leading from the front. This is not a battle. This is actually wisdom. But it's also a picture of humility because you're letting them go forward. But it's also, if something comes from behind, guess who they get first? You, not your family. And then you can also have a view, a good peripheral view of them, the front of them, the side of them. You are the overseer, you're watching over them to make sure they are safe and get a good perspective. Little nugget for you. But again, that's even like a sign of humility in that sense. Well, I gotta be up front and show them that I'm no, that's a different kind of that's a battle when you know the battle's in the front and you know you've got to lead by example. That's different. Follow me? Little difference. Humility is confidence under self-discipline, under self-control, under obedience. So what happens then when you get married? Some men believe, well, then I'm supposed to become this shrink back and oh, you know, I'm not supposed to make any decisions. Look, it's part of life is growing and understanding the ebb and flow. There's going to be places where you can't see and she can once you get married. There's going to be places you can see and make decisions that she can't. She has a blind spot and you have a blind spot. And you're supposed to confidently come together as one flesh and complement each other and strengthen each other and be able to say it's okay, I'm willing to make this decision, move forward, even if you're not in different areas of life. That's a powerful thing. It's not, well, I'm supposed to shrink back and just only make decisions as she does. And same with the woman. Well, I'm just supposed to be a wife and only have children, a doormat. No, that's not what God said. Marriage enhances us, empowers us, strengthens us to believe where we couldn't believe, to be empowered where we felt weak, to be stronger, more confident. And there's an interesting thing that happens sometimes. And whether you saw your parents do this, or maybe your dad shrunk back and he was just this little quiet guy, and mom was loud and boisterous, or maybe it's the opposite. Your mom was, and you're a female, or and your mom was very humble supposedly, and the leaders told her not to talk. The leaders told her just to shut up and sit down, or she would be shunned, or even worse. Some cultures, matter of fact, in the Amish culture, in the strictest of Amish, that if a woman spoke up, she would actually be taken to the funny farm. Seriously, we've dealt with those clients that saw that happen to relatives or mother. It's crazy, but it's real. That's not humility. Confidence is a woman that can rise up and be strong with her man and lead and do the work with her man confidently and fill in the gap. She's going to have strengths where he doesn't. She's going to have discernment, to be honest with you, and be more sensitive to see things. And he's going to have the ability and strength and confidence to push through and not have to have as much sleep as she does. That's truth, man. That's what testosterone gives us the ability. And to have naturally, men do not belong in women's sports. They don't. They are physically made up differently. They have a physical advantage with testosterone. They do. It's real. The way the body's made up, the way the structure, the way this muscle tone, it's real. So, humility is not weakness. Humility is strength that gets low to lift others up. That's what I want you to write down. It is strength. Humility is strength and confidence. It's dunamis. But yet it gets low, not to lower self and make yourself weaker, smaller, less than. Those people are not less than. They're just less experienced or have less understanding. It's real, or their story is keeping them to feel less. And so we come down, meet with them, and help them to see that if I can do it, you can do it. And that's what I want for you men. I'm not perfect. And there is never, ever a perfect marriage. I'm going to say that again. There will never, ever be a perfect marriage. Never a perfect marriage. There will be perfect, great, complete tools. Now, when I say perfection, like some of you are like, wait, Carlos, you told me perfection was just, you're always getting better. Yeah, if you can see that definition of perfection, the true meaning of it, yes. But if you're talking about perfection is there's nothing ever going to go wrong, never any conflict, never any problems. Guess what? That's not even how God designed life. There's always going to be, again, it's like I would never get stronger if I didn't have restriction, right? If I didn't have things that weights I had to lift. That's what conflict is. It's beneficial growth. Can you handle it? Yes, you can. Not by shrinking back, though, but by being humble. Even though you may be powerful, even though you may be strong, even though you may have better words and you may be able to convince people of certain things. And this is when I'm learning that it's okay. If they don't ask, you don't give them the information. If they don't want it, you release and bless. It's part of the process of being confident. It's part of the process of humility. It is. But also, it's okay to help people see things they cannot see. Humility is to lower yourself with love, to love someone well, right where they are, and not make them feel bad that they're not where you are yet, but to love them, make eye contact with them. Again, washing their feet, encouraging them, speaking life into them, and lifting them up. I love that picture and that understanding of, people grow and learn by standing on the shoulders of great leaders. And that's what's happened in my life. I have some amazing, incredible mentors and leaders that I've learned from that have absolutely made a huge difference in my life. And I'm eternally grateful for that. Okay, let's see. Thank you, Sheila. She says, good morning. It's good to have the ladies on here too. She can learn and look for her a good man here, hopefully. You're Amish? Well, no, actually, none. But my connection to the Amish has to do with Jesse Kaufman. That's where it all started 5 years ago. He's a powerhouse, great leader in the Amish. Jesse says, I became more confident once I got married. There's more to the story and continuing to become more confident yet. But that is my reality. It's powerful. It's good, good. And then, again, for men too, and it is identity, men. That's really where it all comes back to. What is your MVP? We have a process. And through the single to married, if you're single or if you're married and looking to become more confident, want to have epic marriage, it's not without conflict, but it's having the tools and the strength and the strategies that will absolutely make it epic. It's not allowing them to disrupt your flow, those conflicts disrupt your flow or your synchronicity with your spouse forever or for a long time, weeks at a time. It's quick, getting through it quicker because you have the proper skills and the proper tools. We want to give you that. We can give it to you through Jesse's group. He and Adina run that group, single to married. They're focused on helping the singles, and we get involved there too. With that's why we're known as the Amish Matchmakers. We mentor and help people directly, but they have a community group that you can do it and work on and get to know people. It's required if you work with us and you're single to be in that group. So that's the reality. And it's because it's beneficial. You need a community, you need support, you need a place to practice the skills that we're going to teach you to make your marriage epic. But you first got to work on identity. And that's where this process called MVP comes in. Mission, vision, peculiar. Knowing your MVP is actually going to make it awesome for you to be more confident. And we got to make sure too, men, that we are encouraging our wives as we get married. This is the other part of it, to not shrink back either, to not become something that they weren't before we got married. They were, if they were strong and powerful and bold, encourage that. They should be bolder and stronger. It's real. And I know for in my story, my wife for a lot of years did shrink back. She'll tell you the story how she was concerned about me and wanted me to be able to become a better, more confident leader. Now, there was some wisdom in that. I'm not saying there's seasons for different things. However, what actually has been more effective to help me become a better leader is her actually challenging me now. She doesn't realize, and we talked about this, and she does now, but back then when we were going through it, like the thing that really helped me to become more confident and a better leader as a man and as a father, yes, she allowed me to make decisions, but one of the things was her confidence in her abilities in sports, her confidence in her abilities in exercise and running. Like she could outrun me. She could run more miles than I could. She was more fit, more healthy. She still is. But she did back then would do it and I would have to follow her. She's like, can you keep up? And I'm like, yes, I can. That's really what will develop a man. And at times she would. She would think, well, I got to let him make the decisions and leading by example is not you becoming less, shrinking back. And now she agrees and believes, and believe me, she challenges me daily. She's awesome with my communication, with the way that I honor people and love people, with the way that I present, with the way that I do things in a peaceful manner. She is Mama Shalom. She's a master activator. She activates me daily in a lot of good ways. But the reality is that's truly what will strengthen a man is to challenge him and believe in him and what his abilities are and to push him. Same for our wives, men. If before we married them, like with Chantel, I realized even when we first got together, she had 3 jobs. And I thought as a man, well, I need to bring her home where she has no jobs. That's what men do. Look, again, it worked out. But if you want a quicker road to confidence and development as a couple, we now teach couples to work together in a business. But then also, it's okay that you hire a boss for a season. There's nothing wrong with that because it creates cash flow. That's a whole nother topic. And working hard is good for you. Learning work ethics and doing it in a job and then coming home and working on a business is very good. Especially, I know if you have kids and raising a family, there's a difference. And you can work on that together, but even the man can help with that. It's awesome. Hard work and helping her to see that she can be empowered as well is part of humility and leadership to keep pushing her up in her dreams and goals and pushing her up in her confidence in the things that she should be more of and better. Better is not shrinking back. That's the whole point of this. Humility is just having self-control and self-confidence in spite of your abilities, not having to prove yourself or defend yourself. That's a big one for me. Seriously. There's been so many years And so many times when I get into conversation with people, I want to defend that thing that about marriage or epic your life or what. And it's like, no, it doesn't need defending. It has the fruit, it has the proof, it has the results. Doesn't need defending. It works every time. And it's the best. It really is. You want the best? You want epic? Come on. Get in that webinar next Thursday. Seriously, if you're single, that's where it starts. It's free. You can take a look at Jesse and Adina's community that they run and get to be a part of a powerful webinar that's going to empower you and help you to find love and keep it, make it epic, and then get engaged. It's a powerful process. We have several weddings that we've done. I think it's over 20 in the last 5 years, 20 something, 25, 26, I don't know the number, but that we've done and been a part of mentoring people and they got married. And a lot of them, I think about half of them, we even officiated their weddings. Between Jesse and Adina officiating, Chantel and I officiating. It's real, it works. Okay, let's see some of this. Okay. The comment, it says, we definitely process through things, but we have a lot less conflict than even a lot of couples who believe they have a great marriage already. It's interesting how each couple has a different perspective on what that looks like. Very true. And I was cute. I was working with one of our couples last night. We were talking about conflict. And they're like, well, I don't want conflict. It's like, well, conflict is beneficial. It's resistance is how you get stronger. And so I said, I'm not saying you go create conflict, but it's good to challenge each other. And to the Amish, that feels like conflict. To have resistance and, oh, it's not perfect. It's not absolute. No, you want the waters to be harder to push through at times to make you stronger. Do you follow me? It's very powerful. When you understand that, then you'll fly towards the storm like the eagle. We talk about the eagle and what that looks like. To fly towards the storm is a visionary that sees and knows the benefits of flying towards the storm. With an eagle, it's instinct. With you got to learn that skill. And again, part of even knowing what your wife wants or knowing what your girlfriend wants and learning that, and then it's, well, it makes me uncomfortable. Well, but you can do hard things. You have it in you. You want to pursue her. You want to love her well. And we have these power questions. And I'll end with this. I love these power questions because this is what came up last night, even in the conversation with the couple, because we have this content. It's in we've given it to Jesse and Adina, and they utilize it in Single to Married. It's very powerful, and we use it in our community as well in Epic Your Life for couples. So it continues on. It's called Connection DNA. Because when we created that, Chantel and I, it was all about, it's 8 weeks, 40 sessions. It was all about creating things that cause deeper, more beneficial connection, more intimate connections in relationships, in family, with your spouse, with your children, with your relatives, with your friends. Connection DNA. And it's the original DNA that I believe was in the Garden of Eden that got disconnected when infiltrated by the enemy. Okay. So connection DNA is a process, though, and a continuous process. And that we have these questions called power questions. Man, I hardly drink any of my coffee today. And these power questions, I want you to write them down. You can listen to the recording, play this back. But these power questions will cause you to have a relationship, deeper relationship. And what's interesting was, like, when people face conflict, it's really about managing emotions. When you talk about mastering emotions, because again, you're constantly managing emotions, is where fights and arguments break out, is emotions. So what's interesting about these scenarios is if you ask these questions, like for instance, if a man and a husband and wife, and something that he does really irritates her, and in that moment when she's irritated by, let's say, a simple thing like leaving his underwear on the floor instead of putting it in the hamper that's right next to it, and to throw it on the floor instead. It's a funny little thing, but it's real. I've heard this from couples. And the wife is like, that really irritates the crap out of me that you're so lazy you can't even put the underwear in the hamper. Well, first of all, that's degrading, put down, shame that you're so lazy, right? It's critical. Do you follow me? But that's a lot of times what'll happen. in that moment, they're emotional, they're frustrated with this, and it keeps happening and won't stop. And I want to get them to obey. That's the feel, right? It's kind of funny, but it's real. Versus this, these power questions. We work with you and tell you there are questions you should ask. And in this particular case, you ask every 8 or 9 weeks these questions. So, like once every almost once a quarter, we do 12-week years, and our sessions are 8 weeks. And then you take a week off. So, you pretty much start in the 10th week. You take a week off and then you do it again. Because, anyways, point being is that so through this process, you're going to ask these questions every 9 or 10 weeks if you're doing it constantly in your life, and it's beneficial. And here's the 4 power questions. You ready? 4 power questions. There are actually 3, but one is similar, and it is, what can I do to improve? Now, the first time you ask it, of course, that makes sense. But when you go to ask it again, we're first going to have you ask, how did I improve? Have I improved? Like, it's good to hear how you've improved, right? So if I'm asking as a husband and then the wife asks that to the husband, well, listen, this is an opportunity where you're actually wanting to learn what you can do to improve. How have I improved? First question. Then second is, what can I do to improve? And that's an opportunity. A wife could say to her husband and say, you know what? It would really bless me if you put your underwear in the hamper instead of on the floor. That'd be awesome. Could you do that for me? That would bless me. And that's what you can improve. In that moment, he's got to go make a decision. Yeah, it's not that hard. I get in a hurry. I'm actually, he can go think to himself, yeah, I'm trying to jump in bed naked and I just throw him on the floor real quick because I want to be with you. Right? That's calm. There's no emotions at this time. He can explain it clearly, or he can say, yes, I'll do my best. And here's why it's been happening. There's good, calm communication, clarity on the situation. Or he could just say, yes, I'll take care of that and be humble, not have to defend himself or why it did it or make excuses, right? Because I tend to do that. Notice he could just say yes. And a woman would love it. And then he'd do it. Even if he is excited, want to get naked and jump in bed with his wife, he takes him off and boop, throws him into the hamper and gains that new muscle and a discipline because he heard her this time. It's not him being rebellious because she's putting him down and challenging him in a negative way and calling him lazy, and he knows he's not lazy. Do you follow me? That's all emotional stuff. And then you're arguing and fighting, and you forgot what you were fighting about, the underwear, when it just emotions, right? Turns into emotion. So, but same thing. Now the wife asks, of course, what have I improved in, and what can I do to improve? And he looks at her and says, you could actually ask me nicely about stuff, right? Your tone is pretty harsh. You put me down, you call me lazy. I would love and appreciate if you could just not, when you are correct me in a calm tone. I'm not your child. I'm your husband. You could talk to me with honor. And she can go, well, the reason why I do that, right? She can give excuses and clarity. It is okay to have a conversation. However, it is okay to just say, okay, I can do that. I'll speak. Please forgive me. I'm sorry for not honoring you in the way I spoke to you. She can say that. That's one of the other things we do. Those are power phrases. And he could say that too. I'm sorry for not honoring you. Honoring you. Not I'm sorry that I, pissed you off, because you don't want to feed the negative. You speak life. I'm sorry for not honoring you. And I'll put the underwear into the hamper now. See, everyone can learn and grow. But again, it's during those calm times when you're having coffee in the morning, going through connection DNA, and all of a sudden I come on there, say, hey, here's a power question. Ask your children, ask your spouse, ask your relationships these 3 questions. I say 3, but then we added the 4th one because you're going to come back through. So then I gave you 2 of them. How have I improved? What can I do to improve? And how can I serve you better? Oh, imagine that. It's about the other person. But guess what? They're going to ask it back to you. So it's cool. How can I serve you better? Now it's specifically about that person that you're talking to. I'm telling you, these are power questions to help you grow, become a better leader, become a better humble servant, loving and blessing. And then the 4th and final question, I hope you're writing these down because they're good. I hope you'll ask your spouse or the relationships you're in that you want to have deeper, more meaningful relationships. These are called power questions. The 4th one is this. This is a tough one because I've had no on this several times when I ask this question. Am I a safe place? I've had no. Okay, I'm just being real. No. Okay. And usually you can tie it to what do I need to do to improve, right? How can I be a safe place? What can I do to become a safe place to you? And then they'll describe it. It's powerful. And you say, okay, I'm gonna work on that. And see what's interesting is then when you come back 9, 10 weeks later, you thought about that, how that freaking felt. Oh, I'm not a safe place. You're not approachable, dad. You always lecture me whenever I'm telling you my truth or what I'm going through instead of just listening, right? You always have an answer. I don't want an answer sometimes. I don't feel safe to tell you certain things. Okay, I appreciate you telling me that. See, we're not in an emotional state. I'm not arguing with them. I'm not fighting with them. It's just a time where I'm literally calm and we're asking questions and we're connected well. And oh yeah, it doesn't feel good, but it's like, okay, I can do this. I asked for this. And literally, that's one of the tougher ones for me. But man, it feels so good. So good when you go, what have I done to improve, and am I a safe place? And your daughter and your wife say to you, or your son, and they say, yeah, you are a safe place, and you've really been awesome at listening to me and really blessed me with not having answers and not having to defend yourself. You just love. I'm like, wow, thank you. So again, power questions matter. We have those questions in our Connection DNA. You can get access to the Connection DNA through both of our communities, Epic Your Life, Single to Married. If you're married, Epic Your Life is your place. We build legacy there and work on family, kids. My wife worked now over 25 years with through helping people through trauma. She's a trauma expert, helping people. That's where Triggers to Triumph comes from. Like we have all these amazing core values, amazing activities to help you have epic. It's not easy, but it's freaking worth it. And look, 30 minutes a day will make all the difference in your life. I promise you that. Learning these skills, gaining wisdom, growing. All right, blessings. I'm glad you guys showed up. Hopefully, a little bit later, we're gonna get the woman's perspective on this. That's what I've been trying to do better. All right, for sure, at least 24 weddings. That a boy. That's what I'm talking about. That's pretty cool. We have um, and over 24. We're still trying to finalize the number. There's so many weddings that we've helped people get married. That's right. Good conflict is being proactive for sure. And then let's see this last comment. That type of conflict would seem to have more to do with proactive growth rather than reactive problem solving, which is generally consensus of what is inferred. Yep. Yeah, conflict resolution. I get it. It's in the moment, you're managing emotions. In the moment when you have high levels of conflict, guess what? Sometimes you need to just not try to solve the problem right then because emotions are escalating. No, there's irrational. People are irrational. I've been irrational before when my emotions got too high, and typically it's where you feel the most weak and vulnerable. For me, it's been over the years. As a father, I feel like a total failure as a father. I never had a biological child, and so I do. I feel insecure in that way a lot of times for over the years, and I've had to really work on that and become more confident in that. And so when that gets challenged at times, I become crazy emotional. It's real. That's one of I call it my kryptonite. Where then there's times where, and believe me, I've built that muscle and strength because I've gone towards the storm. I've worked on that. But again, that's when those emotions are so high. Sometimes you can't even address it. Then you can't try to resolve it. You have to just release, let it. And we do two things that we've talked about where you connect. Can you have enough self-control that no matter how high the emotion, how angry you are, that if your wife comes to you when you feel that, or your husband comes to you, that you have an agreement that no matter what, no matter where your emotions are, you're willing to embrace and hug. It's a powerful tool. Do it for 3 minutes. Just listen to each other breathe. You can't talk, can't say a word. Just be present for 3 minutes. Your heart rate will go down. You'll calm down. You'll breathe. You'll hear each other breathe. Your breathing starts to match. And I'm telling you, the crazy thing about things with relationship too is that when you're in a having intercourse with your wife, and I do believe in that. It's not with everybody. That's one flesh, one person, your wife, your husband. I truly believe that. That even I challenge you in this. Can you master breathing even during that time? It's very powerful. to get in synchronicity with your spouse as married people is super powerful. And that's what I believe gets broken when conflict and emotions happens. So when you come back together and connect and you embrace, hug for 3 minutes, it could lead actually to intimacy, but that's not the purpose of it. And especially it could be with your spouse that could happen. Obviously with others, it's useful and beneficial even with others. They just got to be willing to hug and embrace and not feel uncomfortable with that. But again, they need that. People need embracing. It's a good thing. It's nurture. It's a blessing. It's beneficial. It's good for the body, soul, and spirit, and it's beneficial. I'm telling you, it is. And that's one tactic that's good and beneficial. Or we stop discussing the conflicts and we shift things because we've done this with our kids, even. We've done it together with Chantel and I. We feel things escalate emotion and we stop, we pause, take a breath, and then do GWs. Gratitudes and worthies. We call them verbal GWs. We speak what we're grateful for about the other person, and then they are worthy of their goals, their dreams, and needs. They're worthy of being heard. They're worthy of being seen. They're worthy of being loved unconditionally, no matter the meltdown or the situation. Sometimes I need to hear that because I'm like totally out of my mind, and someone could say, "I love you, Carlos. I'm grateful for you for this and this." They remind me of my true identity and who I am when I'm calm and humble and of a sound mind, not some wild, crazy man. Do you follow me? It's super powerful. So you got 2 new tools. You got power. I gave you tons of stuff today. This is a loaded training. Watch the replay. I gave you questions to ask. I gave you strategies. I never hold anything back. Keep on asking questions. Keep growing. And I'm looking forward to hearing from you. So please comment. And look, if these are beneficial and you want to hear more of it, would you be willing? I noticed that loads of you, especially Amish, they don't subscribe. They don't want even people to know that they're watching them on video. Would you do me a favor though? When you like or subscribe or hit the notification bell on our YouTube channel or on Facebook or TikTok, you say, "Yeah, I want more of this content," and you watch for us or say, "Yes, I want to hear from Carlos," yeah, because they'll give you options now, algorithms, AI, all that. Or if you comment that you like it and you even make comments on the post, it's going to get it out there to more people. And I promise you, I'm not going to hold anything back. You bring me a topic, something, I'm going to continue to help men find love, keep love, and make it epic. Like, that's what you're worthy of, men. This is the men's edition of the Amish Love Talk with the Amish Matchmaker. And hopefully, in about an hour or so, I'll be back with my wife, and you get to hear a woman's perspective as well. The bottom line is this: you can make a difference by you commenting, by you subscribing and hitting the notification bell. When I create content, Chantel and I create content when we're going live, and this is what we're doing more of, lives, so that it's just unscripted, it's real, it's raw, and you can make comments and we can interact with you. We love doing that. That's who we are. So if you will do these things, comments, like, share it with others, give it to others, it's going to boost it to where more people will see it. And look, this world we live in, I know you come from Amish. That's your culture, that you're not supposed to be seen. But I'm telling you, that's not the word of God. He didn't say to shrink back. That's fear. He says to be shining, bright conquerors. So subscribe. I'm not going to hit you up. I'm not going to email you. You'll just get notifications and turn on notifications. And that way, more people can know. And look, our YouTube channel will grow and gives us more credibility. We can do this together. Would you share it? Would you tell others to like it as well and subscribe so we grow our channel and get the word out to more people? We want to love people well. We want to bless. I want to give you a gift. If you message me directly, I want to send you a journal. I'd love to do that. If you help us out, I want to help you out and give you a gift. All right. Bless you. Hit me up. Communicate with me directly. Have a great day. God bless you. We'll see you later.